So, how was your experience there? What was maybe some very interesting situation or moment you had there that led to maybe a successful campaign or something?
We took some of the catchy phrases that were coming on social media, and then we thought of how we can tie it back to the campaign with Mumbai Indians, and then that really went viral and big on social media. It was launched next day, and we saw the product in the shelf. So that's something directly coming out from our insights.
Failure is evident, right? Whether you're a
Yeah.
startup, whether you're someone getting into a corporate job, there is uncertainty all the time.
I feel that you should always take risks. Without risks, you can't achieve greatness. The biggest difficulty or the challenge that I faced in over all these years is the domain knowledge which is required. But then once you are into the system, it is not very difficult. It's not very challenging. With time, you always learn.
Welcome to the Great Lakes podcast. As we celebrate 20 years, we're celebrating not just our alumni, not just our corporate partners, but everyone in our ecosystem. Today, we have someone very special with us, someone who's been associated with Great Lakes for almost 10 years now. And what makes it more special is that he's an alumni of our institution. Welcome to the podcast, Abilash. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
So, Abilash, I've seen your journey. You've transitioned into several roles, right? Like from IT to entertainment. And now, of course, you lead consumer insights for Europe with PepsiCo, right? Which is a fantastic journey, right? And students today, a lot of them tell us that, I'm so afraid to transition. What if I can't get a job in another industry after I leave? So you've been there, done that, right? So tell us a little about your journey, especially focusing on the transition and, before that, why you started to pursue an MBA in 2015 with Great Lakes.
A lovely question, because it has been like a very tough journey as well. But I would also say that all journeys have their ups and downs. So when I started my journey back in 2011, 2012, when I joined TCS, so I started as a software engineer, and like everyone, I was running behind the crowd, and I was doing data warehousing. And then after 3 years, I thought that I want to do something else. I want to be a part of those big strategic decision making team and go into take into the leadership journey. And that's when I thought that let's do an MBA. And I got into Great Lakes, been a part of the Great Lakes team for so long, worked with so many faculty members, as well as been a part of these fantastic colleagues that I had, and all the Great Lakes members that I had. From there, I got selected into from a campus placement. I got selected into Vestas, which is one of the world's largest wind turbine companies. Now, how I transitioned from this is I had this big data analytics behind my back with as a knowledge, and from there I understood that I had my marketing and analytics kind of MBA degree, and from there I wanted to go into data science. And Vestas, what better could be than Vestas? So hence that transition happened. So I had the functional knowledge, and I went into a different domain. Domain knowledge is something which happens and comes with experience. So I got to learn over a period of time. I worked in Denmark, I worked in India, in Chennai. From there, I loved the journey. Learned a lot of analytics, data science, and visualization tools, a lot into business intelligence. And then from there, what I actually learned was how to make sense of the data and help our business leaders come up with those solutions. From there, I got an opportunity from media industry, one of the largest in India, which is Star India, and which is now has been acquired by Disney, Walt Disney, and now it's called Disney Star. So when that opportunity came into my to me, I actually thought that I can now marry my knowledge in domain as well as my functional knowledge in analytics and marketing into with my passion. My passion was always into sports, and hence I got an opportunity from there, and it was one of the biggest properties, as we all know, is IPL. And I got recruited there, where I could work on a property like IPL and also in data and analytics. From there, I moved on to work with Hindi GECs, and then Star Sports, Hotstar, as well as English GEC in Hotstar International. And then my functional knowledge was always constant. I had the basics, which was needed, which is always needed. The basics needs to be very strong. From there, I made a transition to FMCG, which is right now in PepsiCo. But then again, my functional knowledge remains same, but I made that switch from a media entertainment giant to a global conglomerate like PepsiCo, which is in FMCG. But then again, the fundamental remains the same, and I know that now I can learn about the domain over the next few years. So the biggest difficulty or the challenge that I faced in over all these years is the domain knowledge which is required. But then once you are into the system, it is not very difficult, it's not very challenging. With time you always learn. So with PepsiCo, it's a global brand, and there are so many sub brands within it: Lay's, Gatorade, Pepsi, and so many brands. So you need to get into the market, understand all these brands. So that's how I learned. So it's been a journey which had seen a lot of ebbs and tides. So yeah.
Okay. Lovely journey, So I think 2015-16, when you did your masters, was the time that everybody was talking about big data and analytics, right? So there were these quotes that were coming out: data is the new oil. And of course, it's still very, very valid today as well. So did your engineering background kind of motivate you to get into this? Or, how did you plan to get into this space?
Yes, my engineering background actually helped a lot. And basically the work that I delivered in TCS is where I learned a lot about data warehousing and big data. That is where I understood that this is going to be big in future, and with the help of understanding analytics with the professors that we have at Great Lakes, I learned a lot in stats as well as analytics, and that is how I started to understand that this is what I can implement on the big data knowledge that I have from the past, and then get into a company like Vestas.
Right. So, like I said, you've had an excellent transition journey, right? So what's something you'd like to tell a student who's pursuing a PGDM or an MBA 1 year or 2 years today, right? Who's getting into a new role or who's probably moving industries, on how they shouldn't really be scared of transitioning too much. And I mean, failure is evident, right? Whether you're a startup, whether you're someone getting into a corporate job, there is uncertainty all the time, right? But people are not willing to take that first step or that first risk. They want to be really, really safe. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I feel that you should always take risks. Without risks, you can't achieve greatness. So, from my side to all the budding MBA aspirants and who want to get into this journey, I think transition is very much needed. And with transition, you can learn a lot. And I think these days, I see a lot of these new joiners who are Gen Zs transition a lot more than what we had done in the past. So if you see my career as well, I have been in industries like 3 years, 4 years, and I think that has shifted a lot. People do change in 1 year, 1.5 year. But to that point, what I would say, that transition is necessary and it's easy to make. But then I would always say that keep your basics very strong. You need to have that fundamental knowledge that you get from the college, and on top of it, you have that domain understanding or knowledge that you acquire from a work experience in a particular industry.
Okay, nice. So you're leading a function, right, at Pepsi right now, and you have a lot of different people in your team, right? Different in terms of demographics, in terms of age as well, I'm guessing. So, how different is it working with like a millennial, like us, and how different is it working with someone who's just stepping in, like say a Gen Z, like you mentioned?
Yeah, it's very different, and it sometimes is difficult as well. But we cross learn, cross train with each other. In all, why PepsiCo is a fantastic place to work for is, one is work life balance that we always say, and the second one is basically cross training each other. That is like you gain a lot of knowledge. So from me, people can learn, but I also learned on my day-to-day work activities from a new joiner who's a Gen Z. So all of these new trends that's coming in, you know that PepsiCo is always ahead of the trends, and they capture a lot of these consumer trends that's happening. Often at times I have to reach out to them. So what is the latest trend that's happening in the market? And what is these new keywords, Gen Z terms that you are using? I need to learn them as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, interesting, because I mean, in all the industries, we see that very different shift,
Yeah.
right, with the younger crowd coming in versus the kind of older crowd that's been there for 8 to 10 years
Yeah.
now. So at our time when we just started, it wasn't such a stark difference. But now, because they're digital natives and
Yeah.
all of that, right, there is a huge difference there. So I'm going to digress a little bit from your current role, which is in consumer insights and all, because a few years ago at Great Lakes itself, we had Miss Indra Nui, who visited us for a swim, a successful women in management session, right, on campus. And she said something very interesting. Like, when she took over as CEO, there was a lot of talk about sustainability, because FMCG companies were in the limelight, for the plastic and being non-sustainable and things like that. So she had a lot of ideas that she actually implemented at her time, which she told us about. But what is the situation now? Companies in FMCG are moving really quick towards sustainability, towards greenifying everything, right? So is Pepsi doing something really interesting in that space?
Yes. So right from that time, PepsiCo started a journey which is called the Pep Positive journey, and since then they have lot of programs, processes that they have implemented. They have a bigger agenda of obtaining net zero by 2040,
Okay.
and to achieve that, they have started to reduce a lot of the carbon emission. That is number one in their agenda. And then they are focusing a lot on local produced, and then how to source all of these ingredients in a much more organic way. And then consumers are also moving towards a lot of health oriented. They have become proactively really looking at their health ingredients and associations with health. Hence PepsiCo has also diverted its portfolio, and they have started to make products which are more plant based, which are very organically sourced, as well as they have as you see, there's Pepsi Black,
Yeah.
which is like low on sugar content. So that's how they have started to move their journey towards net zero, lowering carbon emission, locally sourced produce, helping the farming industry as well, and then reducing water wastage. And then of course one of the most important places is the packaging, moving towards a place like I think there's a promise by 2030 all Pepsi bottles will be not plastic non-plastic. So yeah, that's how the journey has been.
Okay. Very interesting, because we keep reading articles in Forbes, Fortune, who promote articles on sustainability and what
Yeah.
companies are doing, right? So yeah, I think some fantastic stuff being done by Pepsi there, and congratulations on being part of
Yeah.
that journey as well. So, let's step back to the entertainment area that you actually spent significant amount of time in, right? The Disney. So how was your experience there? What was maybe some very interesting situation or moment you had there that led to maybe a successful campaign or something?
Yeah. So at Star, the journey was really fantastic. It was challenging because we always needed to stay ahead of the curve, and basically we had to be always be aware of what are the real time consumer trends
Mhm.
that's happening on social media, and then tied back to our campaign strategy. So we had already done all the market research. Now the consumer strategy bit, and then how we can tie it back to a campaign for one of the prominent teams in IPL,
Right.
say Mumbai Indians or a Kolkata Knight Riders. And then one of the incidences that I can say is overnight, we took some of the catchy phrases that were coming on social media, and then we thought of how we can tie it back the to the campaign with Mumbai Indians, and then that really went viral and big on social media. It was launched next day,
Mhm.
so that was a very successful moment for us.
Right. So being a Great Lakes alumni, you know very well that Great Lakes is known for launching or having an analytics specialization, right? One of the first school to have it in India. And as you said, like sports analytics was something that was booming, started in like 2015-16 types. So about 5 years ago, we launched a center for sports analytics, right?
Yeah.
Center for Sports Analytics and Management. So we had Anil Kumble who came in as someone who launched that center for us, and we had some fantastic discussions and all. So what is the hottest thing happening in that space now? Because every time we study analytics or study specifically sports analytics, there are new insights, right? And that changes like month after month. So what's something that's really the talk of the town now?
So, sports analytics again is a brilliant field, and people can get into it right now because it's changing every day with Gen AI as well coming in, and I think a lot of AI tools also coming in. So, I think the latest that's happening over there is we kind of try to predict, I mean, this is again when I was working with
Right, right.
Star,
Yeah.
we always tried to predict what are the chances that this team might win, and what are the chances that this player might do well within this team, and then kind of build around those marketing strategies around those moments. So it was about moment marketing, and how to build a campaign around that moment marketing. So,
Interesting. So what we see in TV shows like Inside Edge is actually pretty
yes,
real, right?
exactly. So a person who's working on behind the scenes for these programming strategies or marketing strategies needs to know about all these cricketing stats over here in the mind, in the head, so that you cannot always Google
Yeah.
and build a strategy. So and then oftentimes what used to happen is after post match presentations also, as you know, um, people will ask questions, the anchor will ask certain questions. Sometimes we fed those questions to them, and that's directly coming in from the consumer as well. Very important to for everyone who is listening to this podcast is basically how do we connect back our consumer to the real time celebrity or real time sports fan, so that we are asking their questions to them. So that's very important.
Yeah, super interesting. So, when we watch a cricket match today, right, the amount of stats that come up are way more than,
Yeah.
even like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So every time there's something popping up. So, I can relate to that example really
Yeah.
well. So coming back to your role at Pepsi, right, you've been there for 4 years now. And it's very interesting to see how FMCG companies go about their market research, right? Every single day you have to track your competition. Consumers are out there, buying different things every single day. They're not very loyal to a particular brand, unless it's, something like Pepsi, maybe yes. But with the amount of brands coming in today, people are changing their preferences every day, right? So how do you go about doing your market research and actually putting them into actionable insights?
Yeah. So at PepsiCo, things are a bit different, and that's how I like it, and we like it. Basically, market research over the years, as you know, has been very like only 1,000 people or 1,500 respondents to be looked at. But then we have gone much beyond it. We have brought in the capability of social intelligence, and I think that's something which is growing very fast among all the major brands and companies that we know of. So social intelligence, with social intelligence, you are not only tapping into those 1,000, 1,500 respondents, but you have billions of organic conversations that's there out online. So what we do is we get the market research data from agencies, some of the well-known agencies out there, and then we marry it with the social intelligence or social media data, which is very organic. Consumers are talking always online, and then we add our analytics that we have. We marry all the three of them, and then come to our business problems that we have at hand. Suppose, for instance, there's this one of, I'm not taking any names here, but then suppose there's this snacks brand that needs to launch a new flavor in a particular region. So I look at the Europe market. Now, flavor profiles in Spain is very different from a flavor profile, say, in Denmark, Norway, or maybe in Germany. How do we then go about it? So we do a very audience specific analysis, say for Spain. So suppose we are doing a market analysis for Spain and we want to launch a new flavor over there. How do we go about it? We would look at the audience audience segment for that market in Spain. Now, for specific brands like, say, Lay's, Doritos, the target audience would be very different. So we have to first capture that target audience for that particular market, and then we start to understand like what are the kind of taste preferences that they have, and what is new that's coming along, and it all depends on the historical data as well as the current trends. So we do a 2 to 3 year analysis, and then we look at the latest trends, and that's how then we and also look at competition data. So what are our competitors doing? Have they launched a new product which has failed or been successful? And then we, based on our analysis, we provide the insights to the brand teams, like, okay, we see a white space over here and there is an opportunity for this brand to launch a flavor. And that's how we go about it.
Very interesting. So one most interesting thing about you waking up and being happy to go to work is that every day is different, right?
Yeah.
Every day you have something new to look forward to. So
I think the most interesting, fantastic thing that we have seen is we provided a innovative flavor to a particular snacks brand in one of the markets. Sorry, I cannot take names here. And then it got launched and we saw that product in the shelf.
Oh.
So that's something directly coming out from our insights.
Nice. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what success is all about, right? These things that are actually being implemented.
Yes.
So, a lot of our students, as well as general MBA students, consider Pepsi as a very aspirational company. And of course, the FMCG space as a space that pays well, that's fun to be in, that's, a hot space to be in, right? So how is, you spent 4 years at Pepsi, so you can talk about how Pepsi's work culture is, the kind of people you get to meet and what interests you, on a day-to-day basis at the organization.
I think Pepsi is a fantastic place to work, and it's very passion driven. So I would always suggest everyone to see where your passion lies before moving on to any company for that instance. And if you are in Pepsi, people will drive you anyways. There's so many things to do. And the work-life balance is fantastic. That's one of the reasons why I made the shift, because I wanted to move out of that 12-hour, 15-hour kind of work profile. And here there's a lot of balance in work. With work, you get to engage with a lot of events and activities that happens inside. As you know that I'm also part of the PepsiCo cricket team, so that's also something that I'm doing. There's a lot of other events that's happening. There's like for Pep Positive agenda as well. There's a lot of CSR activities happening. And so hence you can take part in a lot of those stuff. And there's no pressure on like you have to work for 10, 12, 15 hours. Yes, there are deadlines, but then you set your own deadlines. You set your own benchmarks that this is how and when we can deliver a work. And this is the time frame that I want to work with, because it's a global brand, right? And the time difference always matters. So you're working for someone who's in the US, who's in Europe. The time difference with our country is massive, and hence you set up your time frames and it's not a problem. You set up your boundaries, hence the work-life balance is very good at Pepsi.
Yeah, that's interesting. It just reminded me of something. So when I was starting out myself, I did an internship with 3M, right? So I used to see like people sitting in pods and doing their own work. So I thought, what, like, these guys don't have work, but actually they had to spend 1 hour every day doing something besides their work, right? That would get them ideas. So that's why it's probably considered one of the most innovative companies.
Yes.
And I think a lot of companies today are moving towards that space to just enhance creativity rather than mechanical day-to-day work. Now let me move more towards the Great Lakes and the personal side, right? You've been an alumni now for about 9 years, And what was one of the most exciting things that you still remember about your journey as a student at Great Lakes?
Um, I feel that 1 year journey at Great Lakes is basically very short. I feel that it should be a 2 year journey because there's so much fun, there's so much to learn, fantastic minds, such brilliant professors. But that one moment I would say is when I first met Umashankar sir, and he took our marketing class, and I was just. And he didn't use any books or anything. He was just giving examples of different strategies that big brands were taking, and that flow of the storytelling that was there really excited me. And I think it's very important how you navigate through a story and you tell a story, and that's something which I learned very much from Uma Shankar sir, and even today it's implemented in our day-to-day lives, in our work as well, the art of storytelling.
So, we've continued since then, right? And one of our key things that we've done this year at Great Lakes is a big revamp on the curriculum.
Yeah.
Right. So, finance, operations, marketing, all of those are traditional specializations which are still there. As an institute, we now have product management.
Yeah.
Right. We now have consulting. So these are places where people really want to go and really need that functional knowledge before they sit in for a placement interview and all. And as part of all of these, we do have labs. So some of the labs are still in, storytelling and all of that, which really helps. A lot of recruiters also come back to us with feedback saying that, when I see a Great Lakes graduate in the beginning versus the end, there's a stark difference.
Yeah.
When I see a graduate from any other B school, it's maybe a 10% of a difference from the beginning to the end. So our curriculum is of course revamping, and like you, there are a lot of senior alumni who have given us that feedback on the positivity of the difference of the curriculum that we have in comparison to traditional B schools. So that's one thing that's ongoing. And you also met your wife at Great Lakes, right? And of course, you told me earlier that it wasn't really Great Lakes, but it was the first company you all worked in together. So, how was that journey, and how has married life with the Great Lakes alumni been?
Oh, it's been really nice. So I met her in Vestas, my first company after Great Lakes, and I was her mentor actually.
Okay.
So I was telling her about the processes of the company, and she joined, and then we got along from the first day itself. She was not a lot into analytics at that point of time. She had a very marketing bent of mind, and I was into analytics. And then she had joined a team which was in analytics, and then that's how the journey started. I helped her to learn a lot of the practices that's done. Lot into coding of R and backend and everything, and then she got excited because I knew that she had that analytical bent of mind, and from there she had transitioned his career into entirely analytics and data science, and today she is with Wells Fargo. But then apart from all these career oriented topics, we got along together, and we were in Chennai, and sometimes weather wise and everything gets a little bit tricky in a place like Chennai, and we had each other, and that's how I think it became a very happy and nice journey. And then I coming from eastern part of the country and she coming from northern part of the country was also a very interesting story. But then within Great Lakes, we come with very different skill sets, and sometimes we often complement each other. So, not sharing strategies, but sometimes we co-learn. So, I can always tell her some of the things that I had learned in the past from Great Lakes, and she can always help me with some of the strategies that she had learned in the.
So, and another interesting stat, when we were redoing our alumni relations database and all of that, that came out is that approximately 500 Great Lakes alumni who are married met at Great Lakes.
Yeah.
So we have that many, couples out of our alumni network, really. So, Abilash, it's been a pleasure chatting with you about your journey at Pepsi, at Disney, the transitions you've made, which are fantastic, getting into big data analytics. And I really think that people who want to get in this particular field will have a lot to take away from this. So, thank you so much for being with us. And it's always a pleasure interacting with Great Lakes alumni. All the best for your journey ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. It has been a pleasure for me as well. Always love to be a part of this Great Lakes family.
So stay tuned for more episodes with our alumni and with other distinguished guests as part of our Great Lakes podcast.